Hello, hello, hello. Testing. We are live, hopefully, with no audio check. Okay, folks, this is Brian here. Today I'm going to show you some things I've discovered over the last 2 days. First off, if you are into this sort of thing, just come on over to the quantlabs.net/book. Sign up with your info, email, and name. Get some PDFs on tech stuff, as well as you get put onto my daily newsletter. All right, so a couple things I want to highlight here for both crypto and Forex. This is in real time what's happening, obviously, with MotiveWave using Oanda data. Want a couple of highlights here because it's 421. So some of the big movers, as I said before, I'm not really all that interested in shorting opportunities. I am interested in longs. So because it's 421 my time, we can track potentially some of the movers here for Asia, as Asia starts to open up around 5 o'clock my time, and Australia, and Hong Kong, and Japan. One thing I want to note here is I've added in the watch list the spread. One of the trading desk folks' internal tips that I got was generally you want to watch anything under 7 pip spread. So we've got them all listed here, and surprisingly, some of these are less than 7, namely something like here, the oh no, that's not a good one. Actually, earlier today, this was less than 7. The Singapore against the Hong Kong. Some of the other ones, maybe, let me see here. ZAR, forget, you can see it's 113. These are really not very tradable. So, Thai baht may be one of them. Let me just check that. It's at 9. How about this one in Singapore? Euro against the Singapore, 3.4. So there are some certain ones like U.S. and Hong Kong dollar. That's 8. So there might be some that might be tradable. And you typically only want to focus on those less than 7. And because Asia is lining up, you can probably start to see some opportunity in certain Asian currencies like the Japanese yen. And it's quite flat pretty well among all of them. This is 78 instruments. So some of these may be able to get trimmed because of the spread costs. I'm really not interested in just looking at things that I'm not going to trade. So a couple things here. Highlights include, so today, it's okay. But if I was to show you earlier this morning some of the snapshots I took of 9 a.m. this morning on the movers, specifically in crypto, what you'll find here is here's the movers. So what you'll find is if you keep tracking these particular pairs that move quite a bit, those are the ones that you might just want to put on a trimmed down watch list. Also, I did try what I thought harmonics would work. They weren't reliable at all, because here when you get your top performers, like in this case Bitcoin, Ethereum, US dollar, or these ones Tron or Qtum, you would expect them to maybe show up on the harmonics excellent score. That was not the case. So I'm thinking harmonics may work okay in when there's a down day, but when a majority of the coins are moving up, harmonics are not going to be in your favor. So typically that should tell you is just track only the ones that do move up and just not worry about other ones that don't move at all or maybe are always losers no matter what trading conditions there are. Over the next couple of days when the markets go down, specifically in crypto, you can track the one or two or maybe three that may be winners where everything else is down. That could be, as an example, LSK seems to be one. This one here, Waves, and maybe Dash is an odd one. Another thing is track those and only keep those on your list, because there's no point in keeping ones that are not really going anywhere. And also, as I said, with the harmonics, the problem with harmonics when everything's moving up, you don't have a lot to look at and to say these are your movers. Well, you can obviously on the percent change. These are hourly if it's a hourly time frame. So if that's the case, what you could do is just open up a subset with a chart plus RSI and the Ichimoku cloud, and that should be okay to track, and then set alarms off of those with signals. And maybe I'd also throw in the regression channels as well to automatically send out alerts, and then maybe even trade when the signals come in, as long as the Ichimoku signal on an entry, and at that time that the RSI is approaching 50, but yet not, pushing above 60 or 65, because that means then you're most likely on the tail end of the spike or the breakout. So that's what I'm thinking to do with simple indicators or studies without needing to program anything. And also, same thing could be said with Forex. So let me show you. So this is at 9 a.m. today, and I have another crypto 7 hours later, which you can see here at 4 p.m. today. And what you'll see here, these are all the winners, all above 0 or even 1%. And when you line them up, you can still see a select list that you could track, and a very small list. Link them all together through this feature here in MotiveWave, and then, as I said, set those indicators or studies for the entries and exits with Ichimoku, maybe channel regression, regression channels, as well as the RSI to confirm the timing. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards right now for crypto, and just have a small subset of pairs for the extreme down days. One that seems to work pretty good is BNB and Ethereum, or maybe Bitcoin in a down day, an extreme down day. So there are those at both ends on the uptrend as well as the downtrend days as well. So when you look at the the FX, there's a couple of things we could talk about here. So if I pull up the charts for, let me pull up this morning's chart. So here is the FX from this morning. And what I will tell you, there is a massive difference between the time of the trade. So a beyond a like a 9-digit, 8-digit Forex trading guy has told me, if you want to do well, Forex is all about timing the entries as trading desks in each major region in the world starts to set up their set up their trades. So, for instance, the big time is around my time, Eastern Standard Time, same as New York, would be probably start around 12 midnight or 1 midnight as London opens up, and there's the tail end of Asia. So that's a good time, New York time, between 12 and 1 to watch and set up the European markets, the Euro market, and then Asia would wind down. And then as London opens up, typically around 4 p.m. my time, the trading desks are getting more active. And they'll be the most active will be between 4, 5 a.m. And then as New York opens at 8, 9 a.m., there's that period for the U.S. And then also around 10, 11, you also have the European, British trading desks close down at 9, 10, 11. So there's certain pockets of time to trade Forex in and switch up your selection of pairs that you want. So in this case, we are at 4 a.m. and chances are you will find probably if there are performers, the Asian will be best performers. It's not very strong, but you'll see here we have a pound in the Australian dollar. Number 3, we have the pound, the yen, a bit farther down. But you can see here there's obviously a trend here where we have the euro against the Australian. So that's lining up for 5 p.m. where Australia will start to open up. And then an hour later, you may start to see like the yen. And if the Hong Kong and Singapore dollars qualify under the spread, then add those as well. Or you'll start to see more movement in those particular currencies. And then, as I said, around midnight, 1 a.m., up until about 3, 4 a.m., you'll start to see both the euro and British pound line up too. But of course, it could be news driven as well. In this case, you see some decent performance with the British pound across the franc, the Australian dollar, and a few other. So those are the top two. So we have the pound is moving right now against the U.S. dollar, pound, the franc, the Swiss franc, and there's the Australian dollar as well. So you will want to look for those trends and keep them on a list. And I do the same thing with those particular pairs. I'm not sure if I'm going to include the Hong Kong or the Singapore quite yet because the spread might be too high. But stick with the majors. Like obviously, if you're new to this, that would include Euro, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, U.S., the franc, and the Japanese yen. It's 6 pairs, and stick with those. And then here you can see potentially also CFDs. I got a tip from somebody today about what this is on LMAX where they have swaps being closed out at through the overnight, and you would want to close potentially those positions. And I'm not sure if Oanda has that same time period where everything gets closed out at a certain time overnight for doing swaps, which can affect your positions for like a second or a minute or whatnot. So if you have any experience with that, please comment so I can pick up on that. But I just want to highlight these sort of trends you look for, and honestly, just take out the pairs that don't mean anything to you. Be it the spread's too high, and Forex and crypto. Just get rid of the non-performers, and also track which ones move consistently in up market trends in crypto that are really related around Bitcoin, and most of the time will last 2 months. I'd say you'll have the majority of the coins be down, but as I said, there's going to be some pairs that will be like positive, that will have upswings, and just keep those open for with all the conditions with the Ichimoku cloud, Ichimoku, and the RSI, maybe the regression channels for now, and that's what I'm thinking of doing as Motive Wave runs. And obviously, the Forex will close down at 5 p.m. my time, New York or Eastern Standard Time, but yet you could still keep the crypto running because it's never closes 24/7. So that's what I'm thinking, and that's what I'm moving towards. If that makes any sense, let me know, and we shall talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.